We are Legion.
What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. I'm Mark. I'm joined here by a couple of my friends. We got Ryan, the new guy, and we have the comic vet here. And we got some cool books to talk about tonight and a couple other things to talk about that were pretty big that happened this week. But before we do that, go ahead and check this out. Before we deep dive into all this comic talk, be sure to go ahead and hit that thumbs up, smash the subscribe button, ring the notification bell. I did manage to break 600 subscribers today. I kind of had the day off, so I did a little bit of self-promoting on Instagram and ended up, I think I'm sitting at 606 right now. So giveaway is right around the corner. So that's really cool. So you don't want to miss out on some really fun prizes. So be sure to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell and watch out for that entry video that's going to be coming soon. So how are you guys doing tonight?
I'm good.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Yeah.
It was a busy day, but I was able to get everything done before this started, so that makes it a good day.
I'm glad you can make it. I know that because you live in a fairy tale time zone, it kind of conflicts with regular schedule stuff, but I really appreciate you doing what you do to make it work. I really appreciate you being here. And thank you, too, also hailing from the Great White North for coming tonight as well.
Isn't that amazing? I live in fairy tale time, but not a whole other climate and country.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful here today. I'm sure it rivaled Texas.
I'm more perplexed with what's going on with the clocks over in Ryan's part of the world.
Oh, it's crazy, man. They're just spinning all the time.
All the time. Backwards, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and jump over and say hey to the chat real quick. As always, we have Lucretius 1971. What's going on? We got Cardboard Crazies here. Glad you can make it. Dan, good to see you. And thank you so much on the congratulations there. We got the vet in the chat as well. This thing jumped on me. How dare it? Slotted up. Dude, another epic episode of Rigged in the books. Episode 2 was fantastic. Remy Q showed up. Did you pop in and check that out, Ryan? No?
What happened?
Did you? Oh, I'm not going to spoil it. You have to go watch Remy Q's entrance to this episode of Rigged. It was Remy Q versus DJ Lynx. And Remy Q, as always, took full advantage of his studio.
Yeah. I saw the reminder in the chat. Everybody said that it was on, but I didn't make it over there. I was washing dishes.
Well, I'm going to spoil it. He put the X-Men door behind him, and he had a tinfoil Cerebro helmet on the whole time.
What?
Yeah. Sadly, it didn't help him, though.
Yeah, it wasn't the secret. Ruben Guzman, what is happening, man? Glad you can make it. There he is in the chat. Remy Q Studios. What is going on? We have the Comics Lounge in here. Comicade wants a taco. That's good to know. All right. Who else? Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy. I was just talking about him before the show with these guys about his initiative, the Grow Together initiative. If you guys haven't found Gary's channel, go hop over there, go a couple of videos back and find the one that says Grow Together Initiative. Check it out. He's doing big things. He's an awesome member of the community. He's really supportive of everybody and everything. He's found a way to make that circle of support that he has get a lot bigger, a lot faster, and it requires all of our help. And it, for those who might wonder, it can help you in return. So it can connect you with other members of the community and help you. It's kind of help me help you kind of thing. It's really fantastic. He's an awesome guy. Check him out. Go check out what he's got going on. Tomorrow Cinemas, what is happening? This guy's got the most impressive camera setup I've ever seen in my life. Chip Gettler, the quality of his videos is through the roof. Came to talk about how nice Ryan's bed is, but won't be able to stick around.
That's where the magic happens, man.
And of course, Ryan was in here. Absolutely. Jason is awesome. Him and Taylor Winder both are great for putting on that show. You can tell they put a lot of work into it to make sure it's entertaining, fun, and it's ridiculously informative. Like if you enjoy comic facts or comic history, these guys are not pulling any punches. They're throwing out some really enjoyable questions to watch. And there might be some familiar faces if you watch my channel on one of their episodes in the not too distant future. So be on the lookout for that as well. What's up, Burke Family 54 Comics? It is always morphin time. All right, so that's down through the chat there. So format tonight, I do want to just throw this out there. For format tonight, I most definitely want to talk comic books first. I know that not all of us have read the same comics, and I've been thinking about it. I don't care. I want to hear about some that I didn't pick up and read, and because I know Ryan has one that he's excited about that I want to hear about. And I wasn't able to get my hands on a copy of Ultra Mega this week, and I'm hoping one of y'all might have read it because I'd love to hear about it as well. But we'll just go through our list and kind of hit some stuff that we all did read, and some stuff we didn't. And let's talk books for a while, and then we'll get into Falcon Winter Soldier Snyder Cut toward the end in case there's people here that haven't watched it, as well as at this point, me and Ryan have not only spent countless hours watching the film, we have spent countless hours on YouTube talking about it. So our opinions are pretty fine-tuned at this point, and it's not really going to take too long. So,
yeah. Did you read, Mr. Comic Vet? Did you read Ultra Mega? Because I've only read like the first 3 pages of it, so I really don't have anything to say on it.
Again, I showed up at my comic shop maybe an hour and 15 minutes after it opened on Wednesday, and boom goes the dynamite. It was gone. Yeah,
so I told my LCS owner I was thinking about it, and I just planned on picking one up off the shelf, and it was gone. So that was my bad. I'm probably just going to order one off of my comic shop. So I was thinking about reading it digitally, but because it's a larger formatted book, like I don't mind reading digitally, but if you get past like 32 pages, it kind of throws off that familiar digital experience for me, and I need a floppy. I need to feel my progress. Because a lot of my reading I do like at the end of the night when I lay down, and I have to know that I'm almost there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Ultra Mega is an ultra-sized new issue #1 from Image Comics with, I forget his name, but the writer and artist is the one and the same person. It's very reminiscent, in my opinion, of Daniel Warren Johnson's style. And it's about ultra mega-sized monsters, ultra mega-sized people that are going to have to fight him, ultra mega-sized destruction. The whole concept of the book is kaiju, Jaeger, giant, everything. So the art in it looks fantastic. The color style is amazing, just like Daniel Warren Johnson. So I'm really excited to check it out. So hopefully next week I'll have read it by then and we'll actually be able to deep dive it.
Notable that the letterer is Russ Wooten, who does a fantastic job on everybody's favorite Firepower. James Harden.
Dude, that's a beautiful book. Firepower is a beautiful book. Everything about it is. It's just the pacing is weird. And what did I read this? Oh my God, I read some Radiant Black 2. Did any of y'all read that?
No, I still haven't read that one.
Dude, that's my Firepower now. I'm not saying that jokingly or in a bad way, like because I just kind of feel I just feel like more interested in the source material than, maybe I'm just not too interested in the whole kung fu aspect of it, that it doesn't carry me far enough, But reading Radiant Black 2, the story rounded out a good bit, and you get a lot of conversation with him and his dad. A lot of familiar conversations that I've heard in my life going through my older teenage years, conversations I've had with employees even, or with some of my friends about like the power of employment and hearing that really, really nonsensical response with, it doesn't pay a lot. Like not understanding the concept of any money is better than what you're making now at zero, keeping busy. And people don't understand how opportunities come when you're inside of new places and doing new things, including dead-end jobs. You find people out in those places, But anyways, there's just so much real world like connection in there, like you get with Firepower with them and their family. We got a napkin right here. Enough. It was really good. I wasn't upset at all about it.
That's awesome.
Wasn't a fan of the first one, they kind of baby stepped. I was upset about how much they threw into that first issue, and they baby stepped the second issue, and they're starting, I guess, to pace it down, which is good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's awesome because I know pretty much exactly where you were at on the first one. So to hear that it, gave you that much of a swing excites me to read it.
Yeah, you know, I'll be happy to be critical of something, but when I honestly feel like I'm a silver lining guy. Like I can,
You are.
when some stuff just hits me like off, and I feel bad for the material that's out there that's decent. That for whatever reason, maybe my day was just going this way or that way, and it just didn't. It just caught my negative look on it, you know, because I feel like I go hard on books when I go negative on them, which isn't very often.
Yeah, very true.
I won't hit this again. That's just the truest thing I've ever seen in a comic.
Just that second issue. Took
In
them
that
14
last
pages
issue.
to get to a word. And you know, Chris Samney does his own sound effects too. He incorporates them into the artwork, so that's not a lettering job on that book either.
Oh, that's funny.
So it's just the dialogue boxes, yeah, and narration. But I don't think it has much narration either.
Yeah, I agree with it moving a little bit slower with the action in this issue, but I think that was definitely needed. We had to slam on the brakes after that first issue. That first issue, they just packed so much into the final act that there was no reason to do that again. But you do get a fight scene in it. Radiant Black does meet up with Radiant Red, and it's an unintentional fight that was pretty interesting. So yeah, I was definitely more happy with the direction that number 2 went than number 1.
That's awesome. Yeah, the first one had a lot of pacing issues. It was weird to say the least.
It's
But it also
nothing
felt like they were
Green
trying
Lantern.
to
It's
get
like,
you to a certain point, you know?
it's definitely
Like they
like
wanted
Power Rangers.
issue 2 to be something.
Mm. Radiant Ultra Mega was good, but the people plotting was hard to follow. Now I did hear that from a couple of people that it's kind of it piles on the content, that it just throws you into the world, and it doesn't hesitate just to pretend like you know what's going on already, which I'm kind of okay with that because that just leaves a lot to be discovered. Vet, what are some of the ones that you checked out this week?
I flew through Erratic. I believe it's issue 5. The first couple issues, I really was enjoying it. The last 2, the fact that they're just trying to cram so much story into such a mini series, where again, like I feel like I spoke about this on my channel, they kind of felt like it really feels like they should have given the whole arc 10 or 12 stories, or pardon me, 10 or 12 issues. So I flipped through that. I decided to reread Department of Truth, the trade paperback again, and
That the first 5?
First 4. I believe
First
it's first 4. Yep. And decided to go through, and it was only $10. So like,
Nice.
yeah, like it's like decent value right there alone. And decided to reread it again because I'm just trying to picture in my head, like, how in the world are they going to film this? Because we all know that the book has been optioned recently, and like it really is, to me, it really is almost a horror story. I get that they're playing into, a lot of conspiracy theories in that, but the whole, the guy with the pentagram on his face eating newborns and stuff, and there with a knife and fork, at least he has class, I guess. But still, it was
He's not going to dirty his hands.
it's heavy to take in, and I'm just like, are they really going to attempt to show this? Like, to get the gravity of the book, I get that you need to see this, but I'm not sure how it's going to translate into film.
Yeah,
Well,
I wonder
we did
how
just
much
watch somebody attempt to just like machine gun down a whole school class of children. We just watched that happen this past week. So it depends on how you handle it. Some of that stuff is just becoming more common. And if you handle this like X-Files, just take it literally one episode at a time with these issues, because the issues aren't pumping a lot of content per issue. They're just kind of introducing you into concepts. Each issue is a different aspect that the department handles.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, that's for sure. Sorry, Ryan.
And that's the thing. Like, I kind of imagined that what they optioned really was the concept and maybe even the premise. But honestly, because I mean, like you said, we're not getting a ton of content out of each issue, not as far as like world building and scope of what a TV show would even cover in one season. We're 5, 6 issues in now, and we
Six,
really
yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we have enough for what, maybe 2 episodes of a TV show, 3 if they stretch it.
Yeah.
So I feel like really what they've done is they've optioned the concept, because the concept alone is pretty brilliant. I think that will play well on TV. I don't even know that they're going to put any of the horror elements to it. It might just be, what if there was a secret agency and conspiracy theories can be real? Like, that might be all that they bought, and they might make their own show of anything.
Yeah, Austin Lemmy's right there. How it needs to be filmed dark and grainy like Seven was. Seven was a masterpiece in my opinion, and
That's a good movie to call a masterpiece.
Yeah, and come on, the fire department had to carry that big guy out. Anyways, no, I really think that this is actually particularly a heavy slow burn read. And again, I just like, we're getting the whole eating infants right in front of our faces as as you turn the pages. And I really just, it occurred to me, like, how in the world are we going to film this? And I get that we had recently, a terrorist group attempt to shoot up a bunch of children in a bank or whatever. And, Wonder Woman was there to save the day. But I don't know how we're going to stop a vampire from eating a newborn in front of a kid. But,
yeah,
again, that's to answer your question. I read the Department of Truth today.
It's been a great series.
It's exceptional.
It's very odd that they bookended a trade at issue 4 when 5 completes a story arc and 6 sets a different tone.
If it is 5, I apologize, but I thought it was just 4 issues.
I don't know. You read it, not me. Yeah. I just know that they did 5 issues just following Cole and what was going on in the immediate introduction to the department, and then issue 6 takes you back to the origins of this kind of things happening, which I loved that issue and how much they leaned into like religious lore and everything. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was a really great way to kind of like shift the book, and kind of broaden the spectrum a bit and get outside of like that very insular story they were telling with Cole, because that was cool and all, but honestly, I think that might have been like a better second arc or something. Once we kind of understood what the Department of Truth is and how far reaching it is, and then like kind of get into Cole, it seems weird that they kind of started with his personal story, and it just felt really insular. Like everything was real close and very claustrophobic a lot of times.
Yeah. And he's not the most likable character either. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
and I'm not talking about his personal life or whatever. That that's fine.
No.
But I didn't think the character was like the most captivating.
Not that he's unlikable either. He's just like not endearing for a main character.
Yeah, not yet.
But I think everything happening around him is more interesting than him. So that's why I think they just like option the concept.
6 was a tough one to read. I enjoyed 6. I'm a huge fan of like studying religions and the mythos of different religions and all that stuff. So I thought that was really, really awesome, because they were kind of even getting into calendars and stuff, which when you get into like the formation of the agrarian and the Julian calendar, it gets really interesting when you look through that history. So if you're kind of like Tynan is writing to a specific audience that really like enjoys this kind of stuff, just like with other books, and the more that you're into that kind of stuff, just in your fun free time, the more enjoyable the book can be, because you can pick all those little nuances like crossover. I was really excited for it, but the more Donny Cates plays to the diehard fans, the more of it that's lost on me, So I still enjoy it at a surface level, and I know that he's making these references and I can look them up, but it doesn't have the impact of a natural reveal for me. But I'm catching those natural reveals with DOT, and I'm really, really enjoying it.
Yeah, crossover right now is on the bubble for me. I'll be honest. I like the fact that his wife is now getting into, or her work is starting to get published significantly more. And I hope that she continues to do a lot more of the cover work for crossover on the reg. But yeah, the book came out with so much hype, and for me, it's just been just that slow down. And I
Yeah.
really hope that we were going to get the whole world of Image in there, and we are finally going to get an Image universe kind of thing. I guess that was just, wishful thinking. For that quick moment, I forgot that all those characters are individually owned, and that Image just publishes the characters on the writer's behalf.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, Steve, you will enjoy the movie. It's got the tone and the style, like the tone and the message of the movie you'll enjoy. And you've already it's been downplayed so heavily to you that you're not going to have too high of expectations and you know what you'll be getting into. And if you're just watching these with your family because your daughter's loving her, it's a great movie to watch with her.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Generally, if you haven't seen something by the time it's been pummeled to the ground, well, then you end up enjoying it more than everybody else because now they've already told you not to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. For me, that comic book movie was Constantine. For whatever reason, people just mash the hell out of that book, or pardon me, out of that movie, and they're like, it's got nothing to do with the character. It's nothing like him whatsoever. The story it's nothing like you would ever see in the world of Constantine. I thought it was, for what it was a fun, great action movie. Yeah.
The ending was fantastic too.
Yeah.
And they pulled
was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. They pulled a lot of the ending from source material, from actual Constantine source material but I mean, it was obviously adapted. But
yeah, for me personally, it was not the Constantine I know from the book, but
yeah,
like it was very loosely connected to that and pretty much through the whole thing. But it was an interesting take on something different,
Mm-hmm. I thought that they pulled enough of it to make it work just fine. Like they changed up Chaz's role in Constantine's life, obviously, to just as driver and being a younger kid, but that wasn't enough to bust my bubble. And this was also long enough ago that I wasn't like as steeped in Constantine. You know what I mean? And a lot has changed ever since. So they really nailed the.
Well, and that was around the same time as like Daredevil and stuff.
Like 02 to 04, I'm thinking.
Yeah, this was when comic book movies weren't really comic book movies. They were an adaptation of some comic book character, so it was acceptable at the time for sure.
Yeah,
if that came out today, I think it would get like absolutely wrecked because now we do expect a lot more connection to the comic book universe,
Right.
So, but at the time, even Daredevil got better reviews than we review it now because now we're like, that wasn't even Daredevil. What was going on?
I still enjoyed the Daredevil movie. I mean, it feels campy and of its time at this point. They have like the whole classic playground fight scene where the kids gather around the fence and stuff like that. But that's so of its time that when you're watching it in real time, you don't really you're like, okay, they're just doing this thing that we've seen in movies before. But now you watch it, it's cringy. But I'm able to keep stuff of its time in context. It just really doesn't bother me like that.
For me, I don't know exactly why, but there was some point that like me and my mom were the only two people at home, like my sisters must have been at my grandma's or something. My dad was probably at work. And I mentioned that movie was out and I wanted to see it. And so my mom took me, she was, for once, it was just me and her and she took me to watch Daredevil. So for me, I've always enjoyed it because I remember what that moment meant,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I can also look at like the CGI at the end and the big fight at the end, whenever Daredevil or Bullseye falls out of the tower. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's terrible looking now, but I can acknowledge that, but at the same time, like I have a good memory for it. So,
what is up, Mike Knight? Dude, I love Constantine as well. All right, real quick, I went and put this shirt on specifically because somebody has to properly represent Superman because John Ridley is physically incapable of properly representing Superman. What started out as what I was starting out, and I talked to Ryan about this. I was really digging the story. He went back to a classic Superman story and revisited it from a realistic, modern perspective, a story where Superman was kidnapped, depowered, and tortured for 8 months, basically in a death camp. But he kind of was looking at the trauma of it. But I had a bad taste in my mouth with John Ridley writing Superman in the Other History of DC Universe, issue number 2. He kind of used that issue, which issue 1 was fantastic. Issue 2 started good, but he had a couple of moments in it where he went out of his way just to crap on Superman, the Teen Titans. Like, there was a difference. I don't know what he was trying to do, but he was absolutely attacking existing characters and teams and stuff. And it just felt weird to me. And So I was excited to read this, him writing a Superman story, and I was loving it, really enjoying it. It was very emotional. But then you get to this scene where Clark is face to face with his torturer, and he was waiting to see if the guy would recognize him, have any remorse, even care, whatever. And there's just this moment where he says, "My secret desire was that he'd be openly unrepentant, giving me the excuse to do what I've wanted to do every waking minute since I got out of this camp," and that is a flash of what he wants to do, just kill the guy. Like that's so far off base. That is beyond so far off base. Like in that one panel, that one comment, I'm like, dude, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And that again, that's one of those books that just you threw that. I got that view as soon as I saw that. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Why are you doing this? Why does it feel like Frank Miller writing Superman again, and you're just here to tear him down?
It shouldn't be this difficult for a writer to handle Superman, but you said it perfectly. I don't know why, but it seems that these bigger name writers can't seem to handle Superman or figure out what to do with him.
Philip
Again,
Kennedy Johnson did good so far.
absolutely. Absolutely. But and I gotta admit, I'm kind of surprised you went with that cover that you picked there. Now that's better.
Gary Frank's my reader copy.
Okay. I was gonna say the Bermeo is just fantastic.
It is.
But yeah, it's almost frustrating. When can we get a writer that doesn't necessarily have to rip apart the psychology part of Superman and trying to make him into a murderer when he is not that at all?
That was a very odd thing to try to do with Superman. It just doesn't fit his character at all because the rest of the book almost feels very like this is an anthology, and this first issue was done as an introduction to Superman. The next issue, it has a host of new writers, new artists on it that none of them are returning. You have Robert Venditti, Chuck Brown, Stephanie Phillips. So the next one I'm expecting to be a lot better because you had like the Kara Zor-El team in here. You had John Ridley in here, and that's 2 out of the 4 books right there that are already. John Ridley I was excited to see what he would do, but not impressed and not happy with the direction he took. And that Kara Zor-El team, they're not bad. They just write style and tones of stories I'm not into. But that next issue I'm definitely excited about, and I hope they kind of push the narrative forward because there was classic style Superman books. Like you had a nymph from the 5th dimension, and they're stealing the colors out of the universe, and Superman and everyone there not remembering what colors were, and him being tasked and responsible for reintroducing them for the world, and knowing that emotions come with them, and like those are positive and negative emotions, and how like handling that responsibility. On the surface, it seemed like such a goofy concept, but when you play through with it, you're like, dude, this was actually a good story. Like it's so weird sounding. You have an imp from the 5th dimension stealing the colors, but then that wasn't the point. The point was what Superman going to do with the responsibility of introducing love, hate, war, beauty. Like he's now it's in his hands. He's responsible for all that. It was really actually cool. 2003.
2003. Oh wow! I could have swore it came out in 04.
So let's not try to bash it. What was wrong with the CG in here was Ang Lee himself had to put himself in the suit, and Ang Lee was the Hulk. He didn't just direct the movie; he was the Hulk. He put himself in the suit and did the things that for the motion capture. That's what was wrong. But he obviously didn't do the running scenes because that was actually cool. The dogfight.
The scenes where Ang Lee was smashing. Was he smashing a tank or was he smashing a car? I remember seeing like a behind the scenes.
He tore the tanks up, but I think I remember seeing the behind the scenes where he like smashes the ground when he comes out of the sewer and the cars roll down the hill. Yeah. He wipes I guess it was sewage, wipes the sewage off himself and hits the ground.
That was that may have been the second last movie that I ever walked out on. that whole scene in the water near the end with the electricity and stuff, and I was like, that's it, I'm out. Like, yeah, walked out on that one happily, and it was just bad. It was just bad. But you know, it is what it is. It's no Constantine. Like,
bubble guppies.
But yeah, I'm going to hold out for issue 2 because again, they just spent this as an introduction to Superman, different aspects of him. So I'm hoping that the next one will be more action Superman stuff. Like let's get him in space. Let's get him on War World. Let's get him like sitting across from Lex Luthor, having a conversation of great minds. Like I want to see an intellectual duel with like if we're just hitting these different aspects. Let's hit some of the big ones next. We got intro to him for I guess the new readers or whatever, but.
Yeah. Again, for me, the character, I can't picture the character imagining murdering someone as a part of a vendetta. But we got it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I agree. It left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I thought many of the pencils on the inside through the stories were actually very beautiful. I thought it was really
Very
good
good.
work. Yeah.
Very good. The one with the little kid who had to drag him up
Yeah.
the steps. Wow.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yep.
And that how Superman inspired that kid, you know, that level of inspiration is something that set bad with me in something that I watched this week. Oh, whatever. Hope, if you're still there, I just read your message. Awesome. Hope has a show every Sunday afternoon on Facebook. It's M&M, just like the candy, M&M Comics on Facebook. They do an awesome little show on Sunday nights. Scored some cool stuff from there. The hardware book I was mentioning to y'all before the show, got that from them.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I'm still excited to see what the
I want to
those
get
books
Joe
look like.
on the show with me one time and talk to him. Have y'all ever watched Blasting and Stashing Comics on Friday nights? It's like one of my favorite YouTube shows, period. Probably more than I like doing this is watching those guys just go at it. They're hilarious. They've clearly been friends for a long time, you know, and they all have their own little segments. And me and Joe got into a good philosophy conversation with each other. And he has this new segment called Philosophy with Joe or something. It's really fun. Very smart fellow. Sorry, I sidetrack a lot.
All right.
Is Gary B still in the chat there?
I'm not sure.
I just want to say Gary B's got to be actually one of the nicest guys in this community. When my channel was in its infancy, there was a handful of other channels that mentioned mine, including you, Mark. But Gary B went out of his way to actually talk about me personally and like spoke about things I had spoken about. And I just want to say, so the fact that he's starting this new initiative or whatever, he can count me in just for the sole fact of what he did for me and my channel. It is in its infancy. Not to say that my channel is great and glorious and big. I haven't even hit 200 subscribers yet. But the fact that he went out of his way to spend time talking about me, as I believe you did too, Ryan. So thank you. And it's just, you know, it's those small things when you know you're very nervous about doing this and you're not sure, you know, if you're getting your footing or what path you want to go down when you're starting a YouTube channel. It's nice that people are watching what you're doing and that they have nice things to say.
It really is.
But yeah,
Yep.
how sweet is Ryan's bed behind him there? You just backed up there. Now look at that. Look at that throne.
That's a hand.
Look
That's
at that bad boy.
Too. It's handcrafted by his
Like
own
that might be,
project.
I was going to say that might be Mennonite work. That is just beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
Fair.
Awesome. Okay, just is the comic vet on YouTube. I'll put it in the chat here. But real quick, one that I think that we all might have read, and I would love to talk about is Justice League 59. I do want to go through this real quick. I did get that awesome wraparound, but just because talk about great timing on DC's part, they did the 3 Snyder covers, the Liam Sharp, which is my favorite of the 3. Then they did the Bermejo, which is a very close second. And then Jim Lee crapped the bed for some reason, but he did give us Martian Manhunter, so he's forgiven. And then I was able to get one of the ratio variants. I got the 1 in 25. I'm still going to be on the look for the 1 in 50 and 1 in 100, which is just black and white versions of them. I don't normally go all crazy on variants, but as anybody who knows me, especially you two on the panel, y'all know that I've been heavily invested in the Zack Snyder stuff. I'm a huge fan of his before the comic work, anything. Just I'm one of his defenders. I'm not irrational. I do understand that a lot of taste goes into that and personal opinion, but I do enjoy his stuff, and I'm so happy that his vision was finally realized, and I'm going to celebrate it amongst myself by chasing down those covers and collecting them.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised he actually went with so many ratios though of the same. But with the 25, the 50, and then the 100.
It's a new run of Justice League with the first appearance of a villain. So they had a little bit of stuff to try to push it. Not saying that's going to pan out, but they did put a little bit of heat behind it.
But yeah.
What did y'all think of it?
Of the movie?
League?
The book, not the movie.
Oh.
The book.
Are we going to go down this rabbit hole?
No, not yet.
I thought that was later.
Yeah, we'll do that at the end. It won't really be a rabbit hole at this point. I feel like it's really refined, at least in my head.
I don't have much more to say about it at this point. Not until I'll watch it again, I guess. Justice League, the book. I thought it was really cool. Oftentimes I find myself in these positions where I kind of forget about what a lot of other people are talking about. So I read the whole thing forgetting that people were expecting like the new Bendis, like this is the new Bendis Justice League or whatever. I just read it as a book. I didn't realize that we were looking for like, how is Bendis taking over? I thought it was interesting because it was like, there was like some cool like meta comments there that was kind of like coming at the fandom in a way, but kind of setting up some great opportunities there. The way that I know they've announced a Green Arrow Black Canary book. I don't know if they've confirmed who's writing it, but rumor is Joshua Williamson. So the way that they come in that book and everything and kind of stand there front and center and get some good like quips and stuff in, I think that really sets those characters up for a great launch on their own off into that series whenever that comes along. And then other than that, I thought it was just a lot of great character interaction. Like there's not a lot that happens, but the way that the characters interact to me felt really like natural and organic.
Not to get super, super deep. Thanks, man. Not to get super, super deep on it. I thought it was just a fun read to start an arc. It's the right way to do it. We all know they don't need to paint a super large picture on what's going to happen. We don't need a backstory on 1,000,001 different characters that we know everything about. It was just a good light read for me. Just a quick, got through it. Okay, what's next? That was all right. And I don't know why this guy gets this much hate. I get why this guy gets so much hate. But I thought for what it was a good starting up point.
I love how meta Bendis went with that very first page where he had Dinah and Ollie talking about how good of an idea it was for Superman to reveal his identity between each other. So he's kind of just stepping to a different title and boosting his own head up about what he did with his previous title, just to remind the readers that it was cool. Remember, guys, for those of you that don't know, I wrote that. Whoever did, they did a good job. But I still don't know how I feel about that. I think for all the feedback and complaints that they have to be getting, and the stuff that I see people talk about that don't read Superman, complain about him being to this or to that. Bendis took a shot at something to address all of that. He really, really did. And I think that it was a very interesting thing to do. And these are comic books. Let's do it. Let's explore it. If it doesn't work out, it can be corrected with good writing. We've done corrections with good writing countless times through countless books. So that being said, I think it was a good way also to kind of just leave a lot of stuff with Clark like on the side. Like now people don't really care. He doesn't have this going on. Everyone knows, who cares. It's Clark. He's Superman. We all work with him. Yeah. Like it is what it is. Now we can look at Jonathan. Now we can focus on what's actually new in Superman comics, because we haven't been paying attention to the most interesting, newest part of this, and that's that he has an actual son. Like he's so cool. He is absolutely awesome. Like I've been a Connor fan for a long time, but dude, Jonathan's actually cool. Like I've seen Connor getting shelved because of this. So I'm excited for them to actually spend time, character dive on Jonathan. Let Clark just, he's Clark. Send him to another universe. Let him be handling stuff. He's doing what it is that he does. We don't need to keep seeing it. Let's watch Jonathan work. So I'm hoping that's where they go with all that. But anyways, Bendis didn't do bad at all. I love the little nuances with Black Adam, how much he cares for his people. He's not a villain. He's not an anti-hero. He is a dictator who wants the best for his people and nobody else. So I thought they did a great job of showing that with him and the little boy who is mourning over his mother's grave, and how even the little kid, he's going to care if they are his people. And Black Adam's really cool. Like all this anti-hero stuff, that's not even him. He's not an anti-hero. He's just a dictator. That's all. And I'm not pro-dictator, but Black Adam. There's your disclaimer, Ryan.
I was gonna say Dr. Doom's a dictator too, But anyway,
very awesome villain though.
Yeah.
He was Stan Lee's favorite villain because he had diplomatic immunity.
Yeah, and actually one of his favorite characters of all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Black Adam is such a fun character to read. Again, like I wish he could get a normal ongoing monthly with a very good writer, because a lot of people are going to be introduced to the character in the DCEU in the movies very shortly, and they're going to have no idea who he actually is. And
I think
I do feel like we're on that path right now.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
I feel like they're incorporating him into like team stuff right now. He was in Infinite Frontier #0. He was in Justice League. So they're kind of warming him up to the audience and kind of shifting the perception of him from like bad guy to good guy. And
December,
then I imagine probably
of Endless Winter as well. He was one of the big front runners of that.
Yeah,
they've been force feeding him.
I would say a little underread there, but yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, yeah, I think they're kind of warming the audience up, and probably like halfway through this year, probably like May, June, July, we'll see an announcement and a drop for a Black Adam series.
Yeah,
he's good at being a dictator. I mean, he knows the proper pronouns.
Yeah, I'm definitely not advocating for dictators. I'm saying that it makes him an interesting character. That's how he's different from.
Yeah, he's doing the wrong
villain.
thing for all the right reasons.
Yeah, that's how he's different from just a villain or an anti-hero.
It's what made Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger so great. Like he was doing the right things, or he was doing the wrong things, but he was doing it for all the right reasons. Like from his perspective, that's what made sense, So.
All right, now for the good. Like that wasn't bad at all. Like Justice League was a very good first issue, especially the nuance scene where Black Adam looks back over his shoulder at Clark, and they just you know that he's just Black Adam's longing for more. And Superman just wants to help so bad, but he knows with Black Adam not to overstep. Like that respect that they have of each other's boundaries, it's so cool. But anyways, moving on to the awesome part of this book, Justice League Dark by Rom V.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, Rom V, there's nothing bad he's been putting out lately. To me, he's going to be very quickly. Anytime I see his name on any book, I'm going to grab the book just because I enjoy his writing so much.
Thank you. The bed appreciates.
Hey, homage to the bed, dude. I really enjoyed the Future State sub-story with Merlin coming back because he's like the granddaddy of magic in the DC universe. He is the catalyst for what got us Etrigan. When Camelot was falling, he's the one that summoned the demon to save Camelot and everything. And he's just looked at by the magic characters as like he's their dark side. That you're just staying inside the realm of magic. He's the big bad for them. And they kind of drew him different in this one. They made him look more young, sleek, and like more formidable from a physical aspect because he's already powerhouse through the roof. We know that just going into it, but just watching him walk through everything and seeing kind of how Pocan Joe put it on blast and stash and the Arthurian lore in this book when he's walking into the lake and he meets the lady in the water to get Excalibur and everything. Yeah, it was a tits, and it was just watching him light up about it too and go down the rabbit hole of all the Arthurian lore just made my night the other night. But it was so good, and the fact that we get Jason Blood back, I'm a huge Demon fan, and I'm really really scared that they're going to sideline him though because we did see that in Future State the Demon because Merlin being the one that brought him up, he's kind of almost like a slave to his will. But we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah, I
Aquaman
really
2 is
liked.
coming. Shazam 2 is coming. It's called Fury of the Gods, and Man of Steel 2 probably will never happen for who knows why. There's no good reason why.
Are we gonna
I
go? Are
really
we gonna go
liked
down that
the.
wormhole?
No, no, not yet.
I'm not even touching none of that. I really like the imagery that they provided. Like, we talk well about Rom V, but the imagery in this book is really beautiful too.
Mhm.
I love the way that he approaches the door, and then whenever you see him, like he gets a whole like half a page splash of just like that glowing door with him coming out of it, and the way that it's like this big glowing blue door, and he comes out of it as like this tiny speck, and it just like to me it kind of like represents like the amount of magical power this guy wields. Like he is this minuscule to that door, but he has the ability to open it for whatever reason. And then he comes down the stone stairs, and it's like real close up on him and stuff, like watching his feet, and it creates a sense of like where he's going, but you still can't see him, and it's just like a really visually impressive way to introduce him as a bad guy, because like he feels just larger than life.
I'm not sure who did the artwork in it, and I wonder how much like when like the best way like writer to artist relationship had to be Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons on Watchmen, like the most detail that went in like with notes back and forth between people. How Alan Moore said, I need this many panels in this shot, I need this on the desk, I need this little thing in the background. I wonder how much of this like the visuals Ron B has. Artist is Xermanico. Zermancio is the artist. I wonder how much of it is just all him doing that and what. But the artwork in it is fantastic. The little relationship kind of thing that they touch on with Zatanna and Constantine, I always enjoy that. It's like almost like a forbidden love between the two of them. They just know it isn't going to work, but they're not going to attempt it, but they're not going to ignore it at the same time. They stay in this weird middle zone with each other. Which dude, Deceased nailed that. Tom Taylor nailed that when they addressed that in the Deceased run. That was enjoyable as well.
Yeah. All I read on that was like Dead Planet.
Yeah, that final one. That was Constantine's book. Yeah, that was definitely Constantine's book.
Well, I read the first 3 issues of that.
Oh God, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going,
6,
dude.
right? There's 6, right?
7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, that ending is amazing. That was one of the coolest parts with Etrigan and Detective Chimp being bonded together, and like the scene when you see him call forth the demon, and he's like leaning down, straining, and the demon's just rising up. That was just so dynamic. That was such a good combination. As smart as Jason Blood is, he's no Bobo.
Yeah, that was a great scene whenever he comes back.
Well, yeah, moving on from Justice League then.
Did you ever read Catwoman?
I did not, man. I have one book that I actually picked up a physical of. I haven't even gotten to this week yet. As light as the week was,
Catwoman?
Me?
Yeah.
I got my hands on just the one copy, and I am not opening up that book. I got the Frizen cover, which was my hot pick last week. Yeah. And so I picked up the Frizen cover, and I wanted to get the normal so I could have it as a reader, and it just wasn't there. So I don't know if my comic shop just ordered the Frizen variant, figuring that he'd be able to sell it out, because, let's be honest, her stuff is just glorious lately. And so yeah, I picked up one copy, and I never thought about, oh my God, I need a reader copy for Catwoman 29.
Just read that one, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Put on some slippy fingers and read it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, Catwoman was really good. I mean, this is my first Catwoman, so I'm not like steeped in her mythos and all that. I don't know where this character is coming from or whatever, but it was really good. The way Ron V writes, it flows even better in that one than it did in Justice League Dark.
Oh.
Go ahead and get into it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
right,
only read it the once. Pretty much what I explained the other day. There's a new bad guy, and it kind of reminds me of Ghost from the Marvel movie.
The
And
honeycomb
Ant-Man,
face.
yeah,
yeah, it's got a
Ant-Man
honeycomb
and the
face. And
Wasp.
there's a lot of great like
Mhm.
color work and stuff that I really like. And just I don't know the story, like it just flows. Like Romvi's killing it on everything he's writing. His Swamp Thing
Yeah.
book was amazing. That's why I picked up this Catwoman, because everything I've been reading by him is good. I'm like, well, let me check out Catwoman then, because I know people liked it before the big break, you know. And so I grabbed it, and I would definitely say get into it because it's setting up something, you know, like it's a good jumping on point. So
That's one that I'll probably have to do a few issue catch up on, like when I finally get a chance. When you catch one of those breaks where you're just like, oh man, I have plenty of time to read. It normally happens for me like maybe once every 2 weeks. The rest I'm kind of crunching.
Yeah, right.
The Radiant Black. Did Mighty Morphin come out this week?
no,
No.
it
Okay.
comes out next week.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
was
in my
gonna say.
hands. No, not Power Rangers. Power Rangers is next week. Mighty Morphin was that this week or
Okay.
last week?
Oh no, that was last week.
Okay.
Okay, Power Rangers is out next week though. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
I did pick up the director's cut of this. I forgot that I ordered it. It had been so long ago, but I'm just hoping that some of the bonus stuff in here is not just special features of them making The Last Ronin, but I want to see pages, letters, notes, whatever from the late 80s when this was first being worked on between the two of them. Which I'm sure I could have just looked that up, but I don't know. That's a cool cover too, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but like honestly, one of the best purchases I've ever made is Thor #1 on Comixology, because it's like the director's cut and it has like the full script in the back and stuff, and that alone for me is worth. Plus, it was cover price, like they didn't charge anything extra. But yeah, I mean, I like reading the script. I think it's just really cool to like read through scripts and see how they structure them and that kind of stuff. So I think if you're interested in scripts, like that's kind of becoming a big wave now. That's basically what that Noctera book or whatever, the Kickstarter version included the script. That was like the big selling point to that. So if you're into like that side of things, I think it'll be really interesting. I haven't seen like even the Thor director's cut though didn't offer a lot of extra artwork with it or anything.
I'm not wanting artwork at all. Like we get that all through the book. I just want to see. Like I think it historically, like for this story, it's very interesting, and I just was wanting to dive more into that aspect. Now I've been seeing director's cuts for a long time, like that Clayton Crane Ghost Rider run he did in like 2004 or whatever, Redemption or whatever it was called. It had a director's cut, and Young Avengers back in the day had a director. They've been doing them for a while, but I think
Yeah.
this one more than something that's just a standard modern book to me was pretty interesting. I don't necessarily care for the script or stuff like that. I just want that history side of it.
Yeah.
I hope that this book is actually so much. Again, I'm not a Turtles fan at all, but The Last Ronin is incredible so far. I really hope that they actually sit down and talk, and we get like a documentary about the whole idea of, okay, we made the Turtles, and a little while later we talked about this. That's the genesis I want to see. Like give me the whole story. I want both sides. I want to be, and then after that, talk about all the years that went by, with where they weren't necessarily the closest, and then they were the closest. How much
Netflix
or
brought
how
them back.
right? How true all of that is. I know there's a couple documentaries about the Turtles already, and I've watched them. But I really think as great as what The Last Ronin has been, I hope that there's filmmakers out there that sit down and talk with them about this, and actually sit down with the publishers too and talk about the whole ash can incident too.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the guys that did, Notorious for the Toys That Made Us, like
That
those
was
guys.
such a great episode.
Yeah, like apparently they clearly are networked well enough to get in contact with these individuals and have the chemistry to bring out a good interview in them. I think that's who should do it. Like Netflix and those guys should be like teeing that up already.
They brought them back together after these years. Like you just
Yep.
watch them break down and cry to just get to see each other again, and they
Yep.
just go to their old studio and look over all their old stuff. That like it looked like Peter was like the steward over all of it, and just It was insane. It was like they never left each other's side after a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever listen to that? All right, when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby parted ways on bad terms, they
Mhm.
didn't talk to each other.
Yep.
They would both be at social settings together, and their wives pretty much kept them apart for a big part because they knew how much each of them were upset. And like there was no room to reconcile, no matter how much each one of them wanted to, because there was just distance between, even in the same room. But what happened was Stan Lee was on a radio show, or it was Stan or Jack. One of them was on it. The other one gets called. Like they start talking about their relationship on the radio show. They contact on the live broadcast the other one, and they just it'll make you cry. Like I'm like it's emotional just thinking about it, but just the way that you could tell that they just longed for that connection with each other again because they were such close friends, and just like that, they were able to reconcile.
Wow.
Sadly, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko never had that opportunity.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. But yeah, that was Stan Lee that was live on the air, and they called
Yes.
Jack Kirby. Yep, you're right. Yeah. And again, that was, you could once, like, we're almost 45 seconds, 60 seconds into it, you could tell like everything was just washing away. And the camaraderie, and I'm sure, like, the bullpen jokes and all that kind of stuff that was going on in the 60s
Came right back to
came
you.
flooded, rushing right back, and it was, you could
You
tell.
don't work that close with just one other individual. It was just them. It was
No.
just them.
Yeah.
It's just them. They know each other better, like just
Yep.
as good as their wives knew them, because they worked with each other on their most creative sides possible. Like they were in the deepest part of each other's minds, and for so many years, and then they're just shut off from each other. Can you think
Yeah.
about that? Someone that really just brings out the best of you on every level, and then you're just shut off from that kind of like drought that you would mentally go
Right.
into. And
Yep.
then you get offered that chance back, and they just, man, it was crazy.
Right.
Like listen to
And
that recording it'll break you, man. It really will.
yeah, and the magic went both ways too. It wasn't just like Stanley giving it to Jack Kirby. It went both ways. Like Jack Kirby did have a hand in a lot of the
He
writing.
created the Silver Surfer.
Right. Like, yeah, like
Stan Lee said, "I want to
let's talk
planet."
about the
Yeah,
Silver Surfer,
yeah.
right?
He told Jack Kirby he wants his giant cosmic planet eater to go traveling planet to planet. Jack's like, all right. So he drew it all, handed it back to him,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Who's this guy?" He said, "Well, if he's such a big cosmic character, he has to have a herald, doesn't he?"
That's
Boom.
right.
They just there wasn't one or the other. They really were like a match made in heaven. You'll never get that dynamic again ever.
And the one thing that I took away from that interview was you could almost see, or you can almost hear the fact that, like, the sorrow that they lost so many
So many
years,
years, yes.
and like plural, like decades of not communicating, and how many memories were lost, and like seeing each other's children grow up and grandkids and all that stuff too. But yeah, it's nice to know that when Jack Kirby passed away, that things were good between him and Stanley. But sadly, it wasn't there for Steve Ditko and Stanley with the whole Spider-Man controversy. I had to get Spider-Man in there somehow.
You had
But
to.
anyways,
Just had to.
I have nothing to add to that. That's amazing information. I'll have to look that up later.
yeah.
I'll send you links. Make it easy for you.
Cool. Even better.
Yeah.
What book
Anything
did you
else
have
you guys?
next?
I was going to say anything else you guys read this week. Tell me about Bitter Root, man. You were so pumped earlier in the week when you said something about that, Ryan.
Yeah, man. Bitter Root is, I mean, this will be basically their season 3. They do 5-issue story arcs, and arc 1 was 2018. Arc 2 was like 2019. And they had a one shot in between the first and second one. And
Sounds
so
like
now
a familiar format.
Yeah, so they're doing this format like once a year you get a 5-issue story arc, and then they did this one shot, and I don't know, they didn't do one between 2 and 3, but I would like to see that part continue a little bit too. It's just a nice little bump in the middle of the year to kind of remind you it's coming back. But yeah, anyway, the third arc is about to start, and it's about this black family in Harlem, like 1920s Harlem. And so there's these things called the what are they called? Anyway, they're basically like these monsters, and they come like out of in the beginning of the book, they're called the Janu, and they're like these demons that are coming up out of hatred. And so in the beginning, you know, it's like 1920s Harlem, and you got like white cops just rounding up black people and stuff. And it gets into a lot of the socio politics of all of that and stuff. But what's really cool is they're fighting these monsters, right? And then the monsters start to evolve, and they are monster hunters. Like it's this family, the Sangreer family, and they're monster hunters. And so you get a lot of like the family dynamics and stuff. You know, it's like a mixed generational household and stuff. And so they're tackling like all kinds of social issues, from ageism to racism to sexism. You know, there's a great character. She gets teed up right at the end of the second arc that I'm really excited for. But over the course of fighting these demons, like one of the characters gets infected, and so he starts to turn into like a monster, you know. So this is new. Like, why are they suddenly being able to turn other people? And you know, basically representing the infection of hate. And some of the characters get sucked up into this portal, right? And they go to this other realm called Barzak, and like time moves different. And so, you know, the family, it's like this family, they're out here fighting these monsters, and they see their family get sucked up in a portal, right? And they're like, what the heck? And so at the end of the first issue, they step back through the portal and come back from Barzak, but they've aged like 5 years in like the helliest hell you've ever seen in your life. So they like leave, and they're shooting, when the family, they have these weapons, right? It's like this green kind of like energy chemical stuff, right? They're fighting monsters. These dudes come back through this portal, and they got swords, and like it just like ups the ante. Like it's superhero style. It's illustrated. It's written by David F. Walker and Chuck Brown. It's illustrated by Sanford Green. So you're talking about like Iron Fist, Luke Cage, kind of creators. Like that's really their realm, you know. And so like they do like the superhero thing, but it's like a family drama. It's got like superhero elements. They're fighting monsters that come from the hate of you know, these different things, these political issues. And then they're like going to other dimensions. They come back, and they've survived like the worst thing you could go through. So now they're just come out like hardened warriors. And again, in the second arc, you get some stuff with that. They expand the whole other universe. Like it's crazy, like how much is in that series. And the one shot that they do is actually centered around a true historical event. But what they do in that, they have the same writers, right? They write all of the stories, because it's like a little anthology book. It's like 32 pages. I think there's like 5 stories in it, right? And so each story, like the whole book, is a single arc that is written by the 2 guys that write the regular series, but they have different artists on all the different characters that they touch on. And it just completely expands out the universe, because you have like, you know, they're in Harlem, right? And they're a black family, and it's Black Harlem in the 20s and stuff. But there's also like Chinatown, you know? And so in this anthology, they start introducing the other boroughs and like some of the other representatives of that. And by changing artists, it's really cool, because you meet like this girl from Chinatown, and her family, they fight the same hate-filled monsters, but Chinese culture has given them a different name, and they kind of have a different belief about where they come from. But because they changed to an artist that is like writes it, you know, does artwork in a more like traditional Asian style, I guess, it makes it feel really cool the way they introduce that character, because it's still canon. It's written by the same writers, you know, but it really like brings them into that world. And then when that character appears in the second story arc, you're just like, what? Like now we got Chinatown in the mix, and then they have like a big meeting, and you see everybody from like all the boroughs and like all these different races and nationalities come together to fight these monsters. And it's a really amazing book. And it's really good at delivering a fun adventure story, but like completely hiding all the social issues, but like you're still picking all this stuff up. It's really cool.
Mark, you had me at pew pew. I gotta I'll go buy the book, man.
Yeah, that does sound absolutely amazing. And what gets me even more, like, this is one of those situations Ricky told me it was about a little person carrying a bunch of balloons robbing the pudding factory. If you explain it to me with the level of excitement you just did, I'm going to go check it out. I'm about to go check that out for sure. I'm just kind of wondering
Bitterroot
why
is so good.
it took you so long to start talking about it. Is it because of the gap that it has between seasons?
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to reread the second arc. Like, I'm pretty solid on the first arc. You know, I read that one 2 or 3 times at this point, but the second one I haven't read since it came out last year. It ends because like there's this character Blink, and like she's there from the beginning, but she's kind of like she's got her own thing going on. And then the second arc, like every issue, I'm like, holy cow, they're like building her up, and then they like cliffhang with something like huge about her, you know, at the end of the second arc. So I've been really excited for this third one, but I need to go back and read it all again so I can get caught back up.
Yeah.
That's Image, right?
Yeah, it's an Image book.
Yeah.
Have you had them on your channel yet?
I have not.
It sounds like something that
I follow Sanford Green, the artist.
What was the book you interviewed somebody that it was like I don't remember if it was Civil War era, but it was like a historical thing where it was the races were reversed. I think he's froze up on us. Yeah.
I have no idea what book you're talking about. You sold me immediately when you said the races were reversed. An American Civil War where I'm presuming then white people were enslaved?
Ryan, you interviewed these people. It's been a while now.
Yeah, it's called Black Cotton. It's I think it's through Scout. And this is a story where it seems on the surface the races have been reversed. Like it opens with a black cop shooting a white woman, and it's a controversy in the style of a black man being shot by a white cop, you know. So but the family, it's a black family that's the cop, the black cop, his family, they're like a wealthy family, very well to do, and so this is controversy for their family name, and he basically left the family and went to try to be a regular person and got a regular job as a civil servant being a police officer, and he accidentally shot this white woman, and now there's all this stuff, and his family's trying to get involved in his life, and he just wants to like face the consequences and tell his story, you know. And but there's so much more going on in the world, because it's not just like simply like, oh, they made the black people on top and the white people on bottom kind of thing. Like slavery never happened, you know. And so there's like all essentially went back and erased a lot of the I guess like the preconceived notions that we have about why we would assume something about somebody, and kind of like strips all that away so that you can kind of like make your own decisions and explore these situations in a more raw format. It's really interesting stuff. It's really cool what they're doing. Yeah.
Well, there's kind of nonstop awesome indie titles that you get the chance to interview people with, and I think that out of a lot of them that I've watched, that Adam in Eternity is the one that I'm the most intrigued about.
Yeah, that was a really cool book. I really like a lot of the ideas and concepts in that one too.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter. That was Black Cotton he was talking about. All right. Any other books that y'all want to hit on or touch on before we move on to what I'm hoping is going to be a very divisive topic between the three of us? I don't want to sit here in an echo chamber. You know what I mean? I want to get other opinions. I've been fighting opinions since Thursday, and it's been one of the most pleasant things that I've ever done. I love to argue, not to fuss. I love to argue with people, like to debate with people, and I've just had a blast doing it. It's been really fun, like respectfully, you know, like me and John from John's Comics with Kids we've had in my opinion, I've had a good time going back and forth with them. It's been absolutely good-hearted, you know, and whatnot. And I think that one of the fun driving forces is with a recent movie or show that released, he gave it a 7 out of 10. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. So we have very close ratings on what we watch. But if you hear us talk about it, it's vastly different. And my light bulb came on. Why it's so different is because he gave it out of a 7 out of 10, but he chooses to talk about those 3 that he didn't give it. where I'm sitting here completely hyped on the 8 that it earned. You know what I mean? So that makes for a really, really fun conversation, like really fun conversation. And I think that's where a new guy comes in too, because he's able to dive into those missing points a lot of time. And if y'all watch the trailer that he dropped today, he's going in on some missing points, and it turned it into some content I'm really looking forward to that comes out Tuesday, right?
Yeah, Tuesday morning.
So yeah. So there's reasons, the good and bad, to look at the earned points and the missing points. So we'll get to it. But let's go ahead and dive into the dumpster fire. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Don't even go there.
I want to let the vet start us off. Go ahead. Take us down through there, because you actually have some personal experience with some of the cast members that were in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You were able to facilitate a private signing with George St. Pierre himself and had some conversations back in the day. And so you've been waiting for this moment to happen for a long time. You knew something along this level or something along these lines were guaranteed down the road, and you're finally here.
Right. So possibly 6 or 7 years ago, shortly after Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier was released, I volunteered my time quite often at a sports authentic store in Toronto, and they would often bring in athletes of many different sports, mostly hockey, but they did bring in superstar Canadian athletes who were parts of different sports around the world. And at that moment, Georges St. Pierre was at the top of his game, and they brought in GSP for a public signing. Now, the public signing was probably only about 45 minutes to an hour in length, but GSP was actually on the premise for about 4 hours. So the store gave the ability for everyone that was aware of the signing to mail stuff in if they couldn't make it. So what we call that is signing in the back. So essentially, that's exactly what it is. At the back of the store, there's thousands of photographs, posters, memorabilia. In this case, we had gloves and pieces of mat and
Band-Aids.
all kinds of stuff that had to be signed by GSP. And let me tell you, like, I've met like a lot of assholes behind closed doors when it comes to professional athletes. I'm not just going to say this because he's Canadian and I'm Canadian, but GSP was actually a real nice guy. And he was always, like, whenever he would talk about something, he would always reference his mother and stuff like that. So, like, he just seemed like a good dude. So, obviously, I was more interested in the comic book side of things because he just finally came out as Batroc the Leaper in Civil War. And I was kind of disappointed that he only had, like, less than 5 minutes screen time, and the amount of time that he talked about that the choreography that him and Chris Evans had to do for their hand-to-hand fight scene, it seemed like they worked on it for almost a month. So I don't know if the Russo brothers cut it and ended up on the floor or whatever, but he was over the moon proud of what they did with Batroc the Leaper. So I asked him some questions about it, and there was actually some Batroc the Leaper books that were getting signed. And I asked him, so, like, are you done with the character, dude? Like, are we going to get it back? And he actually stopped, like, mid-autograph, looked at me, and he said, I'm not done with Batroc. So I don't know if he, like, broke his gag order or whatever, because we all know that Disney and Marvel, they're really tight or whatever.
Really tight.
Or if he trusted me enough just to say that, you know, like, he's not done with the character. But then he also spoke about the relationship that he had developed with Chris Evans, and the fact that they actually text, like, weekly all the time. Like, whenever GSP would be anywhere in the part of the United States where Chris Evans might be, they would try to see if they could hook up and have dinner or that kind of thing. So it seemed like they developed quite the friendship from filming The Winter Soldier. So the fact that we actually got to see GSP in The Falcon and The Winter Soldier for more than just 2 or 3 minutes screen time, and that he actually got to do some action stuff too, I was over the moon. And I've heard rumors that Batroc the Leaper was going to be all over this series, or at least over the first couple episodes, and that we are going to get Batroc the Leaper again in Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings. Just reaffirms to me that GSP wasn't lying to me, that we're going to get more of this character. Whether he eventually meets his demise in Shang-Chi or not, I don't know. Or if the fact that it's just a rumor, like we're supposed to get Omega Red in Black Widow and then again in Shang-Chi, who knows? But
Episode 3 of this is the current rumor, like all the
right.
leak set footage or stuff like that.
But yeah, either way, you know,
That's definitely
I
an awesome
thoroughly
story.
enjoyed it. Yeah, man.
And I know that adds to the hype of getting to finally see it. Now let's talk beyond the fun, cool intro about the actual show. Because it just starts off with a really cool action intro, in my opinion, so they can honey dick us for the rest of the show.
I swear to God, if you say loan, I'm gonna pick apart Justice League so much.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get there. So I'm not going to say it, but I do need you to just read that comment.
Get Falcon
Get
alone.
Falcon.
Right.
It was just, I'm sorry, that was just like how I was talking about when I'm reading books. If something just hits so off, like how did Clown Hunter get in Harley's apartment? It just throws the rest of it off because it's just such a blaring what. Like you're going to literally spend this much time trying to convince me that Falcon has neglected his family, that he doesn't get paid for that insane stuff he did at the start of the show, that it's all charity work, and on top of that, that anybody of his caliber cannot get a loan. Blip or no blip. Like, nice try doesn't work. What I felt like happened with this is whoever came in to write this show wanted to put their own stamp of style into it. So instead of going off established story threads, we already know that Falcon, when we met him, was working with combat vets with PTSD. That's his thing. What is Bucky's problem? There's already the ties that bind between the two of them. They wanted to go a different route. Falcon can't get a loan. He's broke. His family can't make ends meet. He's neglected them. All that time that he was a retired vet and doing avenging stuff before the blip, he was sending no money home or paying attention to his sister and their kids, whatever. I'll let it go. I'm going to look forward to where the story, the plot take us away from this. But let's move over to Bucky for 1 second.
Hold on. I got to cut you off, Mark.
Jump in.
We never said that he was broke. What they said was there was problems in the business or the family business, and that there had been issues over the last few years prior to the blip, and that they don't think that the business was sustainable. So you're going. I feel like you're going down the wrong avenue here.
I'm going down the right road. I'm just
where did Flash come up with a suit that somehow has the same metal that's on the space shuttle? Like, come on!
He stole it along with everything else in that room that was clearly lifted.
Right. So the Falcon. so the Falcon was spending his own paychecks and not sending it back to his sister to take care of the boat, and he was kind of hoping that everything was going okay back home. Okay, I think to be honest, I think it was just filler for 3 or 4 minutes. I didn't think that.
I think it was an attempt to try to ground the character and just kind of show a family dynamic because you wanted to introduce more of a rounded character since we're going to be spending more time on him. I just thought it was kind of a goofy thing to do with the whole loan thing, and I am picking fun at it a little bit and just messing with you a little bit. But what really threw it off balance even more was when we move over to Bucky, and that he's in court-ordered therapy. And I don't know if anyone is aware of how court-ordered anything works. That does not mean free, people. Court-ordered, probation, community, none of that means free. That means you're now on the hook to support your bills, go to your job, find this time that you don't have to do those things, and come up with the extra money to pay for it. So he's able to do all that, but
hold on. Now the Winter Soldier doesn't have a nice bed like Ryan does there. He was sleeping on the floor.
Yeah, he did. But how does he get therapy money? But also the one thing that honestly kind of bothered me was I feel like we're kind of going over hashed out mileage here with him being sent to Wakanda. And there's a great point that I think it was the Comics Lounge when I was talking to Chris. You know, Wakanda was just trying for him to find himself, not fix himself. But I was just under the kind of already built-in assumption that he was in Wakanda to fix himself, not just find himself. You know, because obviously he wasn't all put together with Civil War. He was still going back and forth. You know, Zemo was turning him on and off and all that kind of crap.
Yep. So
there's a lot in there that they had to take apart and clean up. That doesn't mean that he's 100% clear, but you know, if Wakanda can't get you fixed, nowhere can. So I really wasn't wanting to see that story again. There's nothing wrong with it because clearly clearly the action's going to take us well beyond all of this stuff. Yeah, I'm with
Yeah.
Louis on this one. It's all the depressing stuff kind of just rehashed. We don't need that. You don't need to try to be edgy. You don't need to try to because let's just be real here. They tried to throw the social inequality based off race stuff into the show unnecessarily. It's not needed. Like this show is about spies. It's about terrorists, and they're trying to introduce all these social concepts into this first episode that most likely we should be going into a story that's well beyond this. So are you going to address it or play it out? Like if you're going to point it out, you need to play it out. When are you going to find time to do that with what is it, 6 episodes, something?
For me, Mark, like on the serious point, I thought they were just trying to introduce us to Falcon at rock bottom. So he struggled with the shield. He's at rock bottom.
God.
His family is in turmoil. Now they're going to lift them up, and by the end of this series, you know what's going to happen. He's going to take that shield, and we're going to have a proper Captain America. That we all want Bucky to take it, but we all know Bucky's not going to take it.
I don't know that.
Come on, we've had how many years have we had Sam as Cap? I think that's what they're going to happen.
Who had it before Sam? Who was rocking those awesome Alex Ross covers with the cap suit with the cut V down the front? It was Bucky rocking it. I think it would be a smarter route to go because at this point, and that was another thing that bothered me. And of course, I'm going to take it a little overboard here and poke a little fun out of it. But Captain America trusted Sam with that shield. You know, he didn't tell him to step up to the plate. He didn't tell him to go take my place. He just said, take the shield. He's like, it doesn't even feel like mine. He's like, it's yours. It suits you. Sam's like, oh, I don't think so. So he gives his shield away. Like, you're telling me you gave your best friend's shield away? And the argument I've heard is, well, he didn't feel like it was his. He said that he wanted, blah, blah, blah. But now you're trying to convince me that Captain America could not inspire an existing hero enough to not donate his shield to Goodwill. That's a pretty low bar. And I made this argument. If Captain America told me to never flush my toilet for the rest of my life, my water bill would be 0.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'm glad you're passionate that way.
I love Captain America. He is to Marvel what Superman is to DC.
Absolutely. And again, we need a good writer on Captain America too. We have fantastic artists, but we need a good writer.
It seemed like a little bit of Captain America betrayal, and I know we have to get the shield. Like in the comics, Cap like flips it, goes nomad, and like relinquishes his shield himself. We didn't take that route on this. It's slightly different, so we had to get his shield to the government. But Sam relinquishing it was a weird way to go for me. But I'm sure obviously it comes back to him. We see him with it in the trailer and everything, but
right,
it was a little weird. And for Tyler, because he asked in the comments, Chris, I need your thoughts.
Sure. Oh my God, that's worse.
Yes, I got one.
That's worse than Chris Evans in the first Avengers movie. That just got Joss Whedon written all over it, doesn't it? Like, come on. Like, get it off the screen.
Someone put a meme up with the old man from Up, the Pixar movie.
Like,
with the helmet on.
I was gonna say he looks like the old dancing man from the Six Flags commercials.
Oh yeah,
like God bless Sean Walker, but that's not the right way to introduce the character. At least I thought they would have given him a little bit more black. I get, but it is what it is. I
agree with that. You don't really need to compare the universes. They definitely stand on their own. I don't think that, especially after seeing the Snyder Cut, there's not even an attempt at trying to be comparable with them. It was totally different direction, tone, style of film. And Ryan has talked about this 1,000 times. He said if DC wants to do better, they need to look at what Marvel does great and then do the other stuff. Because no one can do everything. So if someone's already doing this great, go do the other stuff.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I thoroughly enjoyed the Falcon and Winter Soldier for what it was. Just 40 minutes of good action, and we see now these two characters at their own personal rock bottoms, and now we're going to get to see them rise back up.
It was the Wish.com. That was actually a U.S. agent. That was Whitaker. Was it John Whitaker?
John Walker.
John Walker. Yeah, that was legit U.S. agent. In the comics, he's black, white, and red after he takes up the mantle of Cap for years, and
Yep.
Steve's out as a character called Nomad and just doing his own thing, and he watches from the sideline how Walker does the job, and he's kind of a little too rough around the edges. He's kind of like how Jason Todd was with Robin. He's doing the job, but he's hurting him too bad or this. So Nomad comes back in, and he takes his shield back himself. And then because the government's not going to waste an asset, they just rebrand him, repaint him, and rename him, and keep him in the field.
Right. An E character at best. Let's be honest. U.S. agent.
I still have it. Yeah. I still have my toy from my childhood. That old superheroes Captain America line where you had like the white little thing you stick on his arm, then you slide the shield back and push a button, it shoots the shield. They did the exact same figure for U.S. agent, just painted him different. But because they used the same mold, he still has the Cap's chain mesh or chain mesh. It's really funny. Save money where you can, But overall, I know I was talking a little bit harshly of it. I was really this show I'm really excited about more than I was for WandaVision, more than I am for Loki. Winter Soldier was one of the best MCU movies they've done when it comes to like true to the style movie that reflect the style of comics, and it was a well done story. There's only one plot hole I had with it. That's that there were 18 20 stories underground when the bunker bomb hit them, and then they were magically just at surface level to move the rubble off top of their head. But that kind of stuff is just movie stuff you got to get with, and didn't bother me. But it was funny seeing that kind of stuff. I like noticing that kind of stuff. I watch stuff with a fine-tooth comb sometimes.
But most MCU fans would agree with you, outside of the Infinity War and Endgame, that The Winter Soldier is the best MCU movie that's been made so far.
Tony's on the moon.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is my favorite. So.
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of issues with it, but dude, I will hands down say that the first 2 episodes of Wanda were a lot smoother rollouts than this, because they hit, like, no matter what your opinion of it was, if it was your taste or not, they hit the money with what they were trying to do. Like, I think that they wasted a lot of screen time, because I would want as much content packed into stuff as you possibly can, but this is just a little odd. But I'm sure, like, again, this is supposed to be a globe-hopping spy thriller, so I'm sure we're going to get moving really fast with so few episodes. And they did a good job introducing that. We have terrorists in different parts of the world. We have Falcon, Sam's little lackey, Torres, that later down the road puts on the Falcon suit in the comics. I hope they don't go that route in this. There's not enough room to go down that rabbit trail, but whatever.
But before we get into the Snyder Cut,
I do want to mention this. Cap was made, but his spirit was not like, and that's a big driving force of what makes him who he is. You can't just, anybody could not have been Captain America, and that's why Steve Rogers is special. Like, granted, he went through the Super Soldier project. He is the factor that makes it happen. It isn't just the serum by itself, and that's not just like movie stuff. Look at the Red Skull. Like, that's, you got to have Steve Rogers. Yeah, technically it is.
I thought it was in the MCU. I thought it was Stark property, or at least the one that Steve had after Civil War.
Yeah, that was Kurt Russell's kid playing him.
Wyatt Russell. Yeah.
Yeah, there he is. There he is. We know how his life ends, floating his house to the sky with a bunch of balloons.
Yeah.
Stark is the government.
Okay. So I know you guys are just waiting
on me. I'm sorry if I pass by anybody's stuff. Stark Tech has glitches sometimes. Very true. Hi, y'all. Wouldn't say best, but definitely top 5. Not sure which one we're talking about. Yeah, it keeps jumping on me. I apologize, everyone. Hey, Todd. Anyways, but overall, I give this first episode, I would probably say, for a TV show introduction, a 6 out of 10, because the action was there. It introduces you to all the people and all the elements, but I don't feel like story-wise it did a good job. I think we focused too heavily on parts that didn't need to be focused on so much. You could have left the entire bank scene out of it and still delivered the same exact point without it. Like, just the conversations with him and his sister, at the boat, them prepping the meals to get out there and try to do more for the family, her begrudgingly wanting to do it herself and be independent. You didn't need the bank scene, which I thought was a huge, huge shot in its own foot. I think it's cool Bucky's going out making resentment. So I do think that is cool because that is an honest to God true part of healing. Like my wife works in recovery and everything, and like she has a really cool job there watching like people like try to get their lives back on track and all that. And dealing with resentments is like a huge part of actually in the real world getting to see people change their lives. It's just been really cool to see how that actually is a thing. So seeing him going down that same path, it's really cool because that's an actual proven method that if you don't deal with your resentments, you're not gonna, you can't live with stuff like that. You got to deal with it first.
That was actually my favorite part of our favorite angle of the entire show was seeing Buck struggling with this older Asian man that he's befriended, and that that the friend was being that wisecracking buddy cop trying to set him up with this young hot girl, and seeing how this date unfolded kind of thing, and seeing that Buck's clearly still not adjusted to anything properly yet. So, like I said, I think it's just that episode 1 is supposed to be seeing them both at their breaking point, at rock bottom.
You'll see that in episode 2 when they show up to a seminar for a pyramid scheme.
Oh. Wow. Okay. But yeah, I thought it was good, and I thought WandaVision was really good. But I'm hoping this is great.
Oh yeah, I agree. Again, I'm still 100% on board.
But yeah. So my phone is getting kind of low. So the one thing I got to say for me about Justice League, not to shift gears or whatever,
go ahead.
Is I was so pleased that we got a backstory on Steppenwolf. I know everyone is all excited about that. We got to see Cyborg. We got to see more of the backstory with Aquaman and his resentment outside of his own movie. But the whole Steppenwolf thing, where it's not just he's just the right hand of Darkseid and he's doing Darkseid.
They went straight Kirby with it too.
They just went like, this guy is on the outs. He's no longer in favor, and he's incredibly desperate to do anything to get back in the good graces of Darkseid, so much so that Darkseid's real hand says, you think this is going to do anything for you? You owe us 10,000 more worlds outside of this one. So, but I really enjoyed the backstory on that.
He'll talk to you when you bring him what you owe him, 50,000 more worlds. Yeah.
Right, and the whole idea that the mother boxes were afraid to be awake because Superman was now alive. I thought that was fantastic. They really played into the fact that the world is in incredible danger without Superman being alive, and that any possible invaders didn't give a flying crap about the idea of the Justice League being brought together by Batman. So for me, the Steppenwolf, I thought the character was, to me, in the Joss Whedon Justice League, was just he's just a bad guy, to being actually an incredibly important character. Like I thought that he carried so many of the scenes that he was in. So kudos to Zack Snyder to realize that you not only do you need a good villain, you need a villain with a backstory, and tell us the backstory and why he's now the villain. And I guess in his own eyes, he's doing everything possible to get in the good graces and the favor of his leader.
Chris, he did not have Atlan's trident in the movie. He never once had Atlan's trident. The only time you saw Atlan's trident in all of the Snyder cut was in the nightmare scene at the very end when Mira had it. Timeline-wise, he's using his mother's trident, which Folklore brought him, uses it all movie, and then in Nightmare Scene, after all the events of a future movie, Aquaman, that came way later, when he receives Atlan's trident, moves forward from there, his mom's trident's broken, whatever, you get the 3-pronged gold trident, which Mira's wielding in the Nightmare Scene.
Right. And the epilogue with Jared Leto, like talk about giving the opportunity for Jared Leto to rise from the ashes that everyone thought his Joker was, to or the back and forth between him and Affleck was incredible. I really hope that we have the opportunity to see more of those two actors, because even just in that 2 or 3 minutes that they were going back and forth, I thought they had incredible chemistry. So like where Affleck, or when I guess Batman, pardon me, looks at him and curses and swears, and like when Harley was dying in my arms, like, whoa, dude, like this is fantastic. Like I
Dude,
get that.
when you know
But
that Joker was about to push the buttons, talking about like when they asked what have you lost, and Joker started laughing like, oh God, he's going to talk about Robin. Oh God, he's going to talk
yeah,
about Robin, and he didn't. He started with his parents, his
yeah,
actual innocence, and then he hit him with the Robin thing. I'm like, this is
right,
hilarious. I
yeah,
just wish
yeah.
they wouldn't have shown us any of Jared Leto in the trailer, so it could have all just been shock value.
Right. And I thought he looked incredibly the makeup job was incredibly sinister, but I thought Jared Leto was fantastic. Even though we only got him for that little drop of water in the whole
Mhm.
bucket that Justice League was. I thought
Now,
Leto was great.
Now to hit this real quick, because I'm talking to Comic Sans in the chat about just Atlantean stuff. The only plot hole that I actually noticed in this was the Atlanteans being able to breathe in and out of water. Not just the talking part. I didn't really care for the original style of the Atlanteans talking in air pockets only, which I like. I'm glad that that's something that moving forward, became different. But in the original vision, they were using air pockets to talk, and I think it was Ryan that pointed out that was probably something that isn't they have to do, but it was just done for visual reasons to film on dry land and just easier to CG water behind them than do all the CG talking underwater. But anyways, Steppenwolf and the Parademons drag Atlanteans out of the water. And they put their little Starro-looking tech on them to draw out the information of where the Atlanteans are keeping the mother box. But it clearly looked like Atlanteans were able to breathe in and out of water. But there's a scene which would have been fine. You wouldn't have to even address it in the differences with Aquaman because of what this is. It doesn't have to be canon to what came after it because this is a standalone thing at this point. But when Wonder Woman and Bruce were looking at the computers talking about needing to get Arthur, Bruce makes the point that, or Wonder Woman, he's showing Wonder Woman the footage from Batman v Superman with Aquaman, and she goes, a water breather, he must be Atlantean. And Batman says, well, when I talked to him, we were on land. She goes, oh, a half breed. Like, so she was even aware of the knowledge that it takes a mixed blood to breathe on top and bottom. So it just kind of made me think, are there more mixed bloods out there like the parademons were dragging onto the beach, or do they have a limited time? They weren't just suffocating. I really didn't know what to think, but yeah, that just kind of threw me off a little bit. Just keeping it in the context of this one movie, that seemed like a little inconsistency.
But I did enjoy the return of the feel of the Man of Steel when
Not impressed.
when Clark walks out and he bends down, and when he first tries flying and it doesn't work out, and then he puts the fist down and then does a springboard and hits like Mach 6 on his way up. I like the fact that we had both of his fathers speaking to him, or the fact he was thinking of both of his fathers as
that was
as
amazing.
he was walking out, and then again they were continuing to speak to him as he was bending down, and the super slow as representing what all the rocks were flying around his hand, how fast he actually took off. But the fact that we heard Kevin Costner say what he did when he took off, I thought it was exceptional. So it was good. It was a good tribute for Henry Cavill.
The dynamic with his Earth father not being very traditional dynamic of him wanting to hide himself to protect himself. And I told him that in the Snyder universe, they kind of approached Jonathan Kent as more of a dad and not his Paul, trying to teach him lessons on how to be a superhero. This is a dad whose first and primary goal is to protect his child.
Mm-hmm.
But Snyder, now seeing where he was going with it, took it full circle, because now they're taking this existing dialogue that, when put into context of now it's your time, like it just all made sense. Everything that Jor-El had told him to get him out there, and everything that that Jonathan had talked to him about, it just merged so perfectly. It was amazing.
Yeah, I thought it was very well done. I'm not sure if that was if it was a reshoot part or not, but I'm glad to see Henry Cavill got that part that I felt like he deserved. Even like, God willing, we get the Man of Steel 2, fingers crossed. But
Wow.
There was like, I like the fact that each character did have their own moment in the sun, especially with the Flash there at the end.
Oh my God, that dude,
Yeah,
that I don't know why. Like, all right, again, I've for those that weren't here earlier for this, I've been completely invested in this from the first Man of Steel. DC fanboy my whole life. Zack Snyder fan since Dawn of the Dead, 300, Sucker Punch, even his little animated movies, Legends of the Guardians with the owls and stuff. I thought that was a great animated movie. But this movie just hit me on so many emotional levels, having it happen, just the sake that it was happening, and then just seeing how much more there was to it. All the things that he tried to hit, like from a director standpoint, it worked on me. Because a bearded comic bro said it best: if you wanted this movie to be this and you went into it, it delivered that for you. If you weren't expecting much and you went into it, it didn't. I was lucky enough to probably have like just the most high expectations out of anyone I've talked to for this movie, and it just hit for me. And when it gets to the end with Flash, when they actually lose and the mother box sync up and the unity happens and
yeah,
that explosion happens and it gets to Flash and he just puts his hand up, where we've already kind of been introduced to his ability to like manipulate time and he doesn't know how he's doing it. And
yeah.
he just puts his hand up and everything just shifts. He just automatically goes into hyper time. He's in the Speed Force. I just sat there, my hands went on my head. I just was hunched over. And that conversation he had with his dad when he just takes off. And I love the way that they do his running, where you have people complaining that he's not just zippity doodah, which we see with other speedsters. We see it with Wonder Woman. She's a speedster, technically. She has the speed of Hermes. She's literally a speedster. So we see what that looks like. That is not what Flash does. He's not just a simple speedster. He's a manipulator of the Speed Force. You know what I mean? So the way that they do it differently is clearly on screen. And just the way that he kind of runs by throwing his arms out, it's like he's pushing through stuff. But I just thought it was so amazing watching him run so fast. And it was dragging time back to catch up with him. Like, it was just visually amazing when he was telling his dad that I was one of them, one of the best of the best. Create your future, create your past. It's all right now. I'm just like, I was just overwhelmed. Like, it was insane for me.
The thing that I took away from the mother box actually letting go at the end, and the big explosion happening, was it took out Superman. Like, I was blown away. Like, okay, we're gonna run past everyone being put together, and Superman's gonna be there, kind of like the whole Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice scene, where in the courtroom everything blows, and then Superman standing there, just like thinking, oh God, this just happened, and your heart breaks for the character. But when I saw that the fact that Superman's being put back together, the gravity of it all hits right there. Like, we're not talking about something that's just, like United States size or North America size. We're talking like this really is a planet killer, and it wiped out, the last son of Krypton.
A cleansing by fire.
Right. And
they actually went full anti-life equation in this, which I thought
yeah,
was awesome. Now, I heard somebody talking about how Darkseid's introduction in when you first see him in the flashbacks, how they think that he kind of chumped them off and everything. And to that point, I do want to say that the Justice League that we see is really a ragtag attempt at getting an Age of Heroes started again. What Darkseid first faced when he was younger, just Axis, before he's in full power and everything, what he ran into was the actual golden age of heroes. You have three old gods, all of the Atlanteans before the fall, all of the tribes of men. You have a lantern. You have all the Amazonians. What Darkseid faced in that flashback was so much of a bigger threat level to him than what these 5 Justice League members are. It's
right.
not even comparable. It
Right.
is not. That's why just Wonder Woman with some of the old god's blood in her was able to hold her own like she was. You know what I mean? Put 3 actual old gods, and one of them being Zeus and Ares, the god of war. That's
Right.
already a tough cookie to crumble.
Now, that was Zeus that was throwing the lightning at him, correct?
That was Zeus, Ares, and Athena.
Right. And so the one thing I guess now DC fans and Marvel fans can both agree on is you have to go for the head. So, when you have an axe in your hand, you need to go for the head. No more.
How awesome!
No
was
more
that?
chest, no more shoulder. Go for the head. Don't mess around, because look what happens when
Superman's
you miss.
intro was awesome. He just lands like a statue. That blade hits him, and Someone thought again, somebody on our initial review show thought that I was stupid that blade couldn't hurt Superman. He could break it so easy, but that's the point. That's why the mother boxes were not waking up when he was around. That's why right there.
I thought personally, the thing that I took from that was it was representing the strength between Darkseid and Superman, whereas Darkseid, it hurt him, it didn't kill him, but with Superman, it didn't do anything. It just stopped.
Well, that's not
And
the same axe either.
That's the one thing that I took from that scene, though. But
that's a pretty cool comparison. Hit the same spot too.
Yeah, and my God, did Superman unload on Steppenwolf?
Unloaded.
Like it wasn't even fair. But I actually enjoyed the Joss Whedon Justice League movie for what it was.
Yeah, I have fun watching it. I'm not delusional. I don't think it's a fantastic piece of film.
No, I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed the fact we got Superman back and all of that. I did think it was a little silly. Like there's no way we would ever see Superman lifting up an entire apartment building and saving the day that way. And when Flash is just pushing, an old pickup truck. But the one thing that I thought may have made into the Snyderverse was the whole two kids in the beginning of the Joss Whedon version, two kids with the cell phone talking to Superman, asking him like, what's the one thing that's special to you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that was I thought that was a whole. I know it's a whole mustache.
Speaking on the whole building thing, like that's kind of the difference in attention to detail that Snyder takes than Whedon takes, because you have in Whedon's version, you have Superman pivoting an entire apartment building from two focal points of his hands. If you go back to Man of Steel, the first feat of strength you see that Clark does is when the oil rig's on fire and he jumps up and he tries to support that steel column for them to get away.
Doesn't work out.
And because he's holding one point, it bends around him and just collapses. Like he tries his best and he's able to slow it down, but you know what I mean? He actually addresses why stuff like that doesn't work. But you wanted a booyah so bad, go check out the cartoons. I had that conversation with Nick from Two Brothers. If you want a booyah, go watch the cartoon. So you're dealing with Cyborg in an emotionally distraught part of his life where he's still trying to deal with the death of his mom, his current situation, his relationship with his dad, and the death of his dad, and just still understanding what he is. So, I don't think a booyah is appropriate. Even though when I watched the Whedon cut, I fanboyed it. It's fun to have it and more appropriate not to have it.
But well, the one thing that we can take from all of this is hopefully Joss Whedon never works again. Because what a villain he's actually turned out to be ever since. Come on.
Yeah,
like,
I do want to say that
and
I saw this post early on, when you watch the Snyder cut and all you see is the amount of Ray Fisher that was taking out of this, it doesn't help Whedon's case at all.
No, well, not only that, now we're hearing things how we didn't treat women properly either. So yeah, it sounds like he's just not a nice dude, or at least he wasn't a nice dude for this amount of time during that.
Yeah, the Doom Patrol show, it definitely fits for that show. That show is stylized perfectly for booyahs all day. If Cliff can say the F word every 3 words, Cyborg can say the booyah. That was, but yeah, overall, I give the Snyder Cut a solid 8.5 out of 10. Like from just a movie perspective, it was not a standard style movie. There's nothing about what happened with this movie from initial shooting to inception to actually getting it that is standard, and you have to watch it for what it is. And this isn't even what we would have gotten had it been released in 2017. If it wasn't interrupted by tragedy, you would probably have a 2.5 hour movie of some kind of standard, but they threw it all in the kitchen sink at it. So I was overall happy with the experience. You have to most definitely keep in mind everything that goes with it is not just a standard, let's see the Justice League movie. That's not what this is.
No. But yeah, hashtag restore the Snyderverse for sure.
Well, it is something that Ryan's awfully quiet. I know he's talked about a lot of this, but he talked about that specifically, the possibilities and good directions to go if they wanted to stay in this universe and using the platforms we have. Do you want to talk about that at all, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the whole thing is this is something that exists beyond what it would be. Like if Snyder had pitched this universal concept today, that he would have pitched it as a 3-season, hour-long episode streaming series, so
Sorry
everything
to interrupt,
about
guys,
it's outside of the realm.
Marks, thanks for having me, man. My phone's literally dying. So I just want to say good night, everybody. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, appreciate you stopping in.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Yeah, I mean, this would never be what it is, you know, and it's a once in a lifetime thing. We are never going to see anything like this again. On the merits of film, you can't rank it or rate it. I mean, as a film, it's like a 1 at best because it has nothing about it that makes any sense. It's incoherent. But as like a comic book version of an event in motion, like it's mostly solid. There's still some stuff I think is way outside of the realm of necessary, but he threw everything at it. So we got every scene that he recorded and he put them in order so that they kind of put together a story.
Well, I did go back and find more information on that. He has 5.5 hours of everything recorded. So this isn't just a kitchen sink thrown at it. He did take out the stuff that, I mean, which is crazy to think about. And because of the amount of slow motion that he does with all of his style, the style that he chooses to do, because that's his signature touch on things. You don't have to like it. You're more than free to dislike it. But there's plenty of people that enjoy that. You know what I mean? It's kind of been his trademark style for action movies since he's been making them. So I don't know why people don't go into them expecting to see it. It can get tiresome for people, and I completely understand. That's a taste and a preference thing. But if you take that all down to speed and everything, this is a much shorter movie. If you played this movie out in standard speed, it's a lot
for
shorter.
every second, it's 2 seconds, you know? Like a 2-hour movie is a 4-hour movie. Like, you know, it's not a 1-for-1. I'm not saying he has a 2-hour movie, but you know, somewhere in his like almost 3-hour movie, that's how he got to 4 hours runtime, you know. I don't like it. It's too much. It reminds me a lot of the end of Inception, where it's just like, let's slow things down and then slow things down and then slow things down. I don't need slow motion characters inside of a slow motion scene. It's too much. It might have worked a lot better at 2 to 2.5 hours, but the fact that you're watching 4 hours of slow motion, it is just unbearable. Especially that awful flash scene that I absolutely cannot stand.
Is that the intro scene?
Yeah, when he saves Iris.
Yeah, there is a lot. Like if they just would have taken the hot dog part out, I don't think you'd have any leg to stand on. Or maybe just less doting on her, but him like when he just twists out of his shoes and it like I think all right, what I took away from that scene, because again, I'm just kind of looking at the 8 that I give it, not the 2 that I don't give it. You know, what I got from that scene was when he's not paying attention to what he does, he's destructive. The light touch of the glass and how it reacts to him kind of showcases what kind of force he's dealing with. When he kind of slides to a stop and the asphalt kind of ripples under him, you know, it was just that scene. The whole point of that scene was to showcase how dangerous he is and how powerful he is. And then you kind of see her, see how gentle he was with moving her. Like take the moving her hair out of her face, because we all know that they intentionally try to play him like he was kind of, you know, quirky. And you said it best, and I give you full credit that on paper it doesn't work bad, but Ezra Miller is a little over the top with the execution of it. I definitely agree with that, but I absolutely love that scene. And I get, again, all the stuff, the points he was trying to make, I got him. And because of the fanboy hype in me, I forgive the little defects in them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and argue about the Flash because I don't like him. I know plenty of other people that don't like him. And I know there's a lot of people that do like him. I mean, Remy Q liked that scene. It's a very divisive scene, it seems, and the casting as well. So, I mean, it is what it is. I do not like that Flash. I do not like that Flash scene.
Yeah. Now this is a very good question for both of us, Ryan.
I didn't plan very well, but I watched it.
Watch a movie like some serious planning has to take place. Watch this. Speaking of serious planning, I took the day off from work. I do the schedule at my job, so I was able way ahead of time to make sure that I had the day off. I had the next day off as well, so Thursday and Friday off. I had my mom, who watches my kids once a week anyways, change days to watch them on Thursday. And then when I found out the movie wasn't going to release at 12 noon like I expected it to, because that's when Wonder Woman 84 released, I changed the plans up. Me and my wife woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning and got ready and fired it up right about 3:30 and watched it then, went live. My mom came to pick up the kids like planned. My dad, who's a big comic fan, came over and we watched it again together. And I watched the movie 4 times in the first 48 hours that it was out. And I felt every bit of it. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I stayed up all night, like Wednesday through Thursday. So I didn't go to bed until Thursday night at like 10 o'clock.
Some
Yes,
scenes yes, some scenes no, Todd.
Anyway, yeah, so I stayed up. I guess that was probably like what 36 hours or something that I was up, and the Snyder cut a little bit toward the end there. I could start to feel but it was really like way later in the day, like the last half of Thursday. I don't even remember what happened. So, and then I rewatched it a second time on Saturday because my mom, she took the kids for the weekend and everything. So my wife was here and I was going to talk about it with John and everything and Bearded. So I went ahead and rewatched it with her. So, and she just complained the entire time about the slow-mo. So that was 4 hours I really kind of regret.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
Because I was like, the first few times I'm like, I know it gets worse. Don't worry. I know it's going to get way worse. Get out now if you can. And she chose to stay. And then
couldn't get
4
out.
hours later, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I had to listen to that the whole time.
Did you know Ezra Miller made music?
I've heard he does music. He's an artist. He's eclectic. I don't know.
I can imagine it being like dubstep.
Yeah, probably.
Or either folk music, no in the middle.
You know who he reminds me of, actually? His Barry. He reminds me of Pauly Shore.
Oh my God, that's a good comparison.
Yeah. And I don't know, Pauly Shore is mildly funny at times.
I remember watching a bunch of his movies growing up thinking he was hilarious, man.
Yeah. Well, he was like in the Goofy movie. That was great.
What was it?
Movie.
In the Army Now? The movie In the Army Now when
yeah.
Water specialist. That was, and I still think that movie's hilarious.
Biosphere.
Biosphere was good, yeah.
Keep it cruising, buddy.
What?
Get down the line. He was in Encino Man also, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
That's a valid question.
Well, you know, running is really just like falling with control. So some people have more control than others.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I love The Flash.
like
Watching it again, I was trying to look for stuff I missed or didn't like, and there wasn't anything. It really was just that great. And I honestly agree. Like, I can see people's grievances with scenes and stuff or this or that, and it just isn't. It isn't one for me. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, I don't. God, what was it that and I heard such a great comparison today on somebody's something, but I completely forgot what it was, and I hate that I forgot it. But this was just literally made for me and other people that were just had that headspace. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that Zack Snyder's been making movies for a specific set of people from day one. He doesn't target general audiences at all. That's not what he does. So if you felt like this movie missed on a mark here or there, it wasn't meant to hit you, unfortunately.
Ezra Miller wasn't, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 o'clock. I need to get out of here soon. So.
All right, yeah, man.
I'm such a new guy.
You got one, you lost one.
Right? The law of equivalent exchange.
Well, I appreciate everybody stopping in and chatting with us tonight. And I appreciate you as always coming on here, Ryan. I appreciate the difference in opinions on some of the stuff because it really makes for a better conversation. Like I said, I'd hate to hang out in an echo chamber. I really do.
Yeah.
But until next time, guys, again.
I enjoy your opinion because you have that salesmanship, so it is nice to like argue about Justice League because I think it puts me in your shoes and I see what you like about it. I see why you would love that so much. So
it's fun to talk to other people. You saw that comment I put on on the chat last night. Like this is like you hear me talk about it. I'm still giving it an 8.5 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? This is no 1933 King Kong. Like in my mind, that is an honest to God masterpiece. Like that is a timeless movie. It's almost 100 years old, and you can still enjoy watching it. You know what I mean? You can't say
Yep.
that with most films. That's a masterpiece. But Edward Scissorhand is not. We'll keep moving on. In case John's watching this rewind, I love you to death, John. I'm going to enjoy debating with you for hopefully a long time to come. But yeah, my hype will talk faster than my reason. Sometimes you got to calm me down and start getting my breakdowns on stuff. But I still think for me, that this was a flawless movie. Does this movie have its problems? Could it be better in certain areas? Yes. Does it need to correct those things? No. Correct nothing. Deliver what you delivered 10 out of 10 times and keep everyone happy. But yeah. My wife sat through the 4-hour movie and loved it all the way. That says a lot. My wife's watched this movie 3 times now. She got up with, yeah, King Kong was good, but giant doors.
Giant door.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you got to keep him back. That's how you keep him from getting into the village. At least the Ray Harryhausen King Kong. And first off, in the Ray Harryhausen King Kong, he was not as big as in the new one, and he wasn't shaped like a gorilla like he was in the Peter Jackson one. He's a monster. He's a monster ape. He's not flying and leaping through the air. He's lumbering and staggering. We will go to task on King Kong. Don't start. We don't have time. It's late. We're out of here. Thank you so much for popping in, Joe. I would love to actually get a real conversation with you sometime, brother. But until next time, guys, thank you everyone who subbed up New Guy tonight. And thank you everyone who subbed up the Comic Vet. They both have awesome content 24/7. We can find each other on each other's content all the time. We do a lot of stuff together. And until next time, as always, I'm Mark, but we are Legion.